Are you tired of feeling like your stomach has its own agenda? Like the bloating, gas, or constant trips to the bathroom are running your life? Welcome to the Beyond Bloated podcast, the podcast where we tackle those frustrating gut issues head on, without strict diets or giving up your favorite foods. I'm Carly, a certified gut health coach who's been there, struggling with bloating that made me look 6 months pregnant, gut pain that kept me from enjoying meals, and fatigue so draining it felt impossible to get through the day. Now, I help women like you find freedom from those symptoms and take back control of their lives. Each week, we'll debunk gut health myths, dive into simple, actionable tips, and hear stories from women who've been exactly where you are. It's time to feel confident, energized, and bloat-free. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond Bloated podcast, or welcome for the very first time. Do I dare to ask, how are your New Year's resolutions going? I myself am not a New Year's resolution kind of girl. If I want to make a change, I don't feel the need to wait until January 1st to do so. I also feel like it's a lot of pressure to be like, okay, as of this date, I am going to do this thing perfectly. And that's my New Year's resolution. If you did set a New Year's resolution, good for you. I hope it's going well. If you didn't, neither did I, so you don't have to feel bad about that either. In today's episode, I'm kind of taking a different spin on the New Year's resolution. I will talk about what we need to do more of in 2026 if our goal is to reduce bloating, stomach pain, gas, diarrhea, have more regular bowel movements, add more foods into our diet instead of restricting further and further. But I am also going to talk about what we're leaving behind in 2025 if we want that calmer, flatter, more predictable gut in 2026. This is not going to be about adding more food rules. As you know, that's not my vibe. Instead, we are going to be talking about removing the things that are silently keeping us women stuck in this digestive destruction cycle. One of the biggest patterns I see with almost every single woman who comes and works with me is this exact cycle. They are already doing a lot. They have tried a ton of different restrictive diets. They've eliminated a ton of foods like gluten, dairy, sugar, even carbs, and sometimes whole entire food groups. Like, oh, I don't eat fruit. Fruit is bad, it makes me bloated. And then when the bloating still doesn't go away, even after doing all of that, they restrict more. And I am not judgmental here because that was me as well. I just kept cutting more and more foods from my diet, hoping I would find the magic combination to fix me. Ultimately, this just leads to more rules, so it's really difficult to go out and enjoy yourself, and more things that you become afraid to eat, which causes more restriction and therefore more bloating. I understand how on the surface restriction feels logical. Again, I did this exact same thing in my own health journey, so trust me, I get it. When we think I eat food, then I feel bad. Food is the problem, so let me remove that food, and then I will feel better. That felt like a very caveman description. But anyway, what I see over and over again is that the more someone restricts their diet, the more reactive their digestion becomes. Their gut gets less tolerant in general, and their symptoms start happening with foods that never used to bother them, and now they do. So even your safe meals are now unsafe. Maybe this has happened to you. You've noticed the amount of safe foods that you can eat is getting smaller and smaller, and it's not because you're doing anything wrong, but your body doesn't interpret restriction as healing. It interprets it as stress. And we all likely know by now, the more stress you have in your life, whether it's around food rules or anything else, the less your body is going to be able to tolerate and digest, and the more symptoms you're going to experience. The other pattern I see very commonly in the women that I work with, and again, in myself when I went through my own health journey, is supplement overload. Digestive enzymes, probiotics, antimicrobials, binders, motility agents, sometimes all at once. We are taking 20, 30 supplements a day, spread out at specific times, and you can't combine this with that, so you have to figure out how to schedule it. I literally had to write down my supplement schedule when I was going through it because I wanted to do it perfectly. And trust me, if you haven't been through this yourself, that's a whole other level of stress that we are adding on top of everything else. But many of my clients come in with a full counter of supplements. They have no idea what is helping and what they're just taking because they read it somewhere on the internet. They have no idea what is making things worse because I have seen clients come in taking specific supplements that I immediately flagged as this is probably not a great idea for you, especially at this moment in time. And even after spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on supplements, they are still bloated by the end of every single day. And yes, this was me as well. I don't want to know how much money I have spent on supplements. I would throw up. I'm definitely not anti-supplement. I still take some supplements to this day. But we need to remember that supplements are supportive. They are not the end-all, be-all solution that we are looking for. If your overall foundation is not there, like eating enough food in a day, having consistent meal times, a regulated nervous system, etc., supplements are just going to mask symptoms or add another layer of confusion or do absolutely nothing at all. The bottom line is that bloating does not respond well to extremes, even when those extremes are marketed as gut health or gut healing or the solution you need to eliminate your bloat. Your digestion is controlled by your nervous system, period. If your body feels stressed, rushed, underfueled, or constantly on high alert, digestion becomes a very, very low priority. Things like restriction, food fear, and hypervigilance around your meals all activate that stress response, and a stressed out nervous system means slower stomach emptying, reduced enzyme output, poor gut motility, and more gas and distension, aka bloating. So even if you are eating the most perfect, nutrient-dense diet, your body might not be digesting that very well, simply because it does not feel safe enough to do so. Another major issue is that extreme diets and fasting often lead to unstable blood sugar levels, especially in women. Long gaps between meals or meals that are too low in carbs. Let me say that again. If your meals are too low in carbs, that can cause energy crashes, cravings, increased cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and, of course, more bloating. This is because blood sugar instability directly impacts our digestion. When our blood sugar drops too low, our stress hormones rise. And when stress hormones rise, guess what? Digestion slows down a lot. That is why I hear over and over again, I don't bloat much in the morning, but by the end of the day, I look 6 months pregnant. Or my bloating builds as the day goes on. I wake up flat or relatively flat, but by the end of the day, I look 6 months pregnant. Since the majority of our bloating seems to happen in the later half of the day, it's easy to blame our dinner. Dinner's the problem. I'm going to skip dinner. I'm going to have like a little leafy salad for dinner because then I won't be bloated. Let me tell you something for certain. It is not the dinner. It is the entire day leading up to it. I'll mention one more thing that I see super often in my practice before I get into what we're leaving behind in 2025, and that is undereating. This is huge, and it often gets missed because many women with bloating simply do not eat enough, period. Even if they are eating clean and super healthy, you still need to eat enough to fuel your body. Undereating tells the body resources are scarce. And when the body thinks food is scarce, it conserves energy, which means less stomach acid, fewer digestive enzymes, and slower gut motility. Your food is going to sit for longer in your gut. Fermentation is going to increase. Gas is going to build up. So overall, when you eat less because you're scared of food causing you to bloat, that is going to lead to more bloating. So if you have been trying to fix your bloating by doing more, restricting more, or pushing harder, this is your sign to try something different this year. Not something extreme, not striving for perfection, but doing something that is actually supportive of digestion. So let's get into it and talk about the habits and trends that feel productive but are actually working against your digestion. And so we are leaving them in 2025. The first thing we are saying sayonara to in 2026 is the extreme diet. I am talking carnivore, ultra low carb, anything titled gut reset diet. We're not doing that this year. We're done with that. And this is very important because this is usually the first thing people try when they are bloated or having any sort of digestive discomfort. What kind of crazy ass diet can I do to fix it? Not this year. We're not doing it. I did many of these myself over the years, so believe me when I say I understand why they are tempting. They do often give quick symptom relief because you cut out a bunch of foods, your inflammation temporarily may go down, gas decreases, and you think, oh my God, this has fixed my gut. I am cured. I just have to eat steak at every meal for the rest of my life and everything's good. But I want to be clear when I tell you that if you have ever felt better on one of these diets, that doesn't mean you imagined it, but it is absolutely not the long-term solution. Quick symptom relief is not equivalent to addressing the root cause. Oftentimes, your symptoms do calm down simply because there is less food volume, aka you're not eating enough. There's less fiber, so your gut bacteria don't have anything to ferment. But overall, those are two really terrible things to do long-term. And having less food volume, less fiber, and less fermentation is not the same as building a gut that can actually handle healthy, nutritious food. These diets backfire long-term because they are reducing your digestive capacity. If you are not regularly eating a wide variety of foods, your body downregulates the enzymes in motility needed to digest those foods. So digestion actually gets weaker over time, not stronger, which is why you all of a sudden become more sensitive to foods you thought you could eat once upon a time. Then, of course, there is the added food fear. People start to believe, if I eat carbs, I will be bloated. If I eat fruit, I'll be bloated. If I eat any sort of plant-based food, my gut can't handle it. And food then becomes something to manage instead of something to enjoy. And I am a woman who loves to eat. I love to go for brunch. I get excited when a new healthy restaurant opens up in my neighborhood. I like going to my family's place for a dinner, a birthday, whatever it may be. Eating should be enjoyable, not something to be managed or feared. And then let's be realistic. Eventually life is going to happen to you. You're going to travel. You're going to eat out. You're going to want a normal meal with your friends. So you're going to start eating the foods that you have eliminated. And suddenly, the bloating is going to come back much worse, which is going to reinforce the belief that these foods are the problem, when really, the gut just hasn't been supported to handle them. The main takeaways here are that a resilient gut is not one that survives on 5 safe foods. A resilient gut tolerates a wide variety of foods, including plant-based foods like beans and cruciferous vegetables. And if your plan only works as long as you avoid most healthy, nutritious foods, it is absolutely not a long-term solution. The second thing we're leaving behind in 2025 is intermittent fasting for my bloated belly ladies. This is a tough one for a lot of people because I understand that fasting can be helpful in certain contexts, especially for men. Because for some people, short digestive rest periods can improve symptoms temporarily. But for many bloated women, especially those who are already under-eating, fasting is going to make things worse. Things that I see most often in my own practice are my clients skipping breakfast, drinking coffee on an empty stomach, basically their breakfast is coffee, and pushing the first meal later and later throughout the day. So then by the afternoon or the evening, they're overeating because they are absolutely starving. They're having more gas, more distension, and their digestion is quite slow, aka they're constipated, backed up, whatever you want to call it. And when they are reaching for those 3 p.m. cookies and overeating at dinner, it's not because they are weak or undisciplined. It's because their body is trying to catch up. When we go long periods without eating, especially repeatedly, day after day, the digestive system does not get consistent signals to move. So your motility slows down, enzyme output decreases, and food tends to sit and ferment more when you finally do eat. So instead of your bloating improving, it actually stacks up over the course of the day, which is why you feel bloated in the afternoon and evening more so than in the morning. Key takeaway here, for many women who experience chronic bloating, regular nourishment, not long fasting windows, is what actually supports your digestion. Consistent meals tells the body, food is coming, you can do your job, you are safe. The third habit we are ditching this year is doom scrolling until midnight. This is something that might not look like a gut habit, but it absolutely is. Doom scrolling until the wee hours of the morning is going to cause you to have poor sleep. And poor sleep increases cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone. And as I've already mentioned a million times, cortisol directly impacts digestion. Higher cortisol means slower gut motility, reduced stomach acid, and more tension in your gut area. Even if your diet is perfect, poor sleep alone can drive bloating. And I'm not saying you need to have some super perfect bedtime routine, you need a magnesium bath and a candlelit meditation every single night. I understand that life is busy, our phones are addictive, we are all human, and at this point I think we are all addicted to our phones, myself included. But consistency is gonna matter more than perfection here. So going to bed a bit earlier most nights, reducing stimulation before sleep when you can, and creating at least some rhythm for your nervous system can really have a noticeable impact on your bloating. The fourth thing we are leaving in 2025 is waiting for that perfect time to start. I already mentioned how I don't do New Year's resolutions because I don't believe January 1st is the perfect opportune moment to do something new. And I see this show up all the time throughout the whole year. Prospective clients tell me I'll focus on my gut after the holidays or after this upcoming trip or once life calms down, I have a wedding coming up, etc., etc. The problem is life does not ever calm down. I actually had this conversation with a couple of my clients because they kept telling me every call, I was too busy to do this, I was too busy to do this. And I had to point out to them, every single time we meet, you tell me you're too busy. Do you really believe there is ever going to be a point in time when you are not busy? Because that does not exist for women who are business owners and moms and work full time and have partners and all the things.
Okay, pause for a second. Have you taken my bloat personality quiz yet? It's totally free and honestly, freakishly accurate. This quick 2-minute quiz will help you figure out exactly which habits and patterns are behind your bloating, the ones no one ever talks about, and it gives you personalized, simple steps you can start using today to feel less bloated and more comfortable in your jeans. If you've ever wondered, why am I always bloated, even when I eat healthy, this quiz is your first clue. Head to beyondbloated.com/bloat-personality-quiz, or the link is in the show notes. Take the quiz and then send me your result. I love seeing which bloat personality everyone gets. Now, let's get back to the show.
You are always going to be busy. Do you think I am not busy? I am extremely busy, but that doesn't mean I don't prioritize my gut health because it is important to me. Your digestion does not need ideal conditions to improve. It needs patterns because the gut thrives on regular meals, consistent sleep, repeated signals of safety, not perfection. I am not perfect. I do not do things perfectly every single day. None of my clients are perfect. They don't do things perfectly every single day. Yet all of us have seen tremendous improvement in our gut health. And that is because you do not need a perfect schedule to see improvements. You need a realistic one that fits in to your everyday life, even when it's chaotic and busy. The women who do see the biggest shift in my program are the ones who stop waiting for that perfect, opportune moment and start supporting their gut within their real life, because that is the life they live, and what they are doing to improve their gut health needs to fit into that. The last thing we are leaving behind is tracking every single bite while ignoring how we eat. So much attention goes into the ingredients, the macros, making sure you hit 400 million grams of protein a day, what supplements you're taking, and what to cut next in your diet. But very little attention goes into when your meals are happening, how fast you're eating, and whether you're stressed or rushed or distracted during that meal. Contrary to popular belief, digestion doesn't start in the stomach. It doesn't even start in the mouth. It starts in the brain. So if you are eating on the go, like scrolling, working, or you're super stressed out, your body literally can't digest optimally, no matter how healthy that food is. Your body cares more about safety than perfection. So when your digestive system actually feels supported instead of controlled, bloating often improves without more restriction. And that's the best part. So in a nutshell, those are the 5 things we are leaving behind in 2025. I could have thought of more, but we'll start with 5 because these are very impactful and I see them very, very regularly in my practice. But on top of leaving those things behind, we also need to bring in some new beneficial habits in 2026. So what we are bringing into this new year to help us have our flat, pain-free bellies are consistent meals. I'm talking breakfast, lunch, dinner around the same time every day, making sure you're eating enough food. If you need to track your calories for a couple of days to see baseline how much you're eating, and you do that experiment, and you find you're eating 1,100 calories, 1,200 calories, 1,300 calories, you are not eating enough for your body to feel safe. We're also going to focus on changing our mindset around food. And if we have a flare-up, a bloating incident, stomach pain after eating, we're not going to think this food is a demon and I'm never eating this again because it's making me bloated. We're going to think, how did I eat my meal? What supportive tools, actions, habits can I take so that my digestion is supported and can actually digest this food? If you know for certain foods cause you to flare up, for example, you eat cheese, you have immense stomach pain, and you're running to the bathroom with diarrhea, please stop eating cheese. That doesn't mean you'll never be able to eat it again, but it does mean that your body is telling you a hard no right now. That also doesn't mean you need to start eliminating other food groups for no reason. Pay attention to your body, listen to the signals that it's sending you, but in the meantime, work on supporting digestion so that you can eat more foods in the future. And finally, we are going to focus on regulating our nervous system. That doesn't mean you need to go get a hot yoga pass or meditate 3 times a day, but it does mean you need to get yourself out of fight or flight before you eat your meals. Deep breathing, chewing really well, sitting at the table without distractions, not sending Bob from finance an email while you're eating your sandwich. Digestion starts in the brain. And if you are chronically stressed, anxious, working overtime while trying to eat, your brain's preoccupied. Digestive signals are not happening. So if you make mealtime a priority, you're going to be able to digest that meal a lot better than when you don't. Maybe you're thinking, these changes feel too simple. And honestly, I thought that myself, which is why for years I didn't do them. And instead, I eliminated food from my diet, spent thousands of dollars on supplements and tests, saw different specialists and practitioners, and none of that worked for over 5 years. It was when I finally focused on these basic, simple habits that my digestion significantly improved. And if you are thinking these are too simple, this isn't the solution, ask yourself, how many of these do you actually do? And if you did them one time and you're like, it didn't work, no, these are things you need to do consistently. But also ask yourself, how many elimination diets have you tried? How many supplements have you purchased? How many tests and specialists have you seen? Did that work? I'm going to guess no, because you're still here. So if we want different results, we need to do things differently. If you are listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, I know this makes sense, but I don't know how to apply it to my life, that is exactly why I created my upcoming group program, the Bloat Free Method. It is a 6-week group program starting February 9th, 2026, and I am going to help you implement all of these basic, simple habits that nobody really does and that actually work. I designed this program for the women who are done with restricting their diet because they have done it a million times and they have finally come to the conclusion that this isn't working and it's not sustainable. It's also for the women who experience bloating, stomach pain, diarrhea, constipation, gas, fatigue, mood swings, all of the symptoms on a regular basis, and they're looking for some structure without rigid, strict rules. After completing the 6-week program, you can expect to experience more predictable digestion, less distention and bloating by the end of the day, and more confidence around eating and mealtime and food. The waitlist is open now until January 26th, at which point enrollment will open. And if you are on the waitlist, you'll have first access to the program. I am keeping it very small for this first round so that I'm best able to serve everyone in the program. So anyone on the waitlist is going to get first crack at enrollment, and you're also going to get the early bird waitlist rate. These perks are exclusive to the waitlist. By joining the waitlist, you are not committing to the program. You're just locking in the early bird rate and first access to join if you choose to. You can head to my website, beyondbloated.com/bloat-free-method-waitlist. Super long, so it's also in the show notes for you. You can also just go to my website, beyondbloated.com, and it's boom, right there. Very easy to find. If you can't find it for whatever reason, email me, carlyclose@beyondbloated.com. Send me a DM on Instagram @beyond.bloated, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the program, today's episode, or help you jump on that waitlist. My final send-off for you today is a reminder that you don't need to try harder. You need a different approach. And if you want 2026 to be the year you stop planning your outfits around your bloated belly, the link to my group program waitlist is in the show notes. I encourage you to share it with a friend who's also tried everything. You guys could do the program together, which would be super empowering and fun. I'd love to have you there. Send any questions my way, and I'll talk to you next week. Did you learn something new and useful today? If the answer is a big, resounding hell yeah, do me a favor. Subscribe to this podcast. Even better, toss a rating in there too. It helps more bloated babes discover this show and lets me keep bringing you this free, gut-loving content every single week. And hey, don't be greedy. Share this episode with your bestie who's always unbuttoning her pants after dinner. She will love you even more for it. Thanks for hanging out with me and showing your gut some love. Keep on putting what you learn into practice and you will be bloat-free in no time. Catch you in the next one. Bye!